Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan. That's Izzy Gutierrez, who just asked me a question that literally stymied me right before the show began. What Avengers superpower would I pick if I could pick just one? And it can't be the Hulk.
I wouldn't pick the Hulk. I wouldn't remember anything. Why would I want to pick the Hulk? I'm not in control of my own powers.
I know what I would be. I'd be Tony Stark. Just give me billions of dollars and a suit that like I could fly around. And also,
not really a superpower, billions of dollars. I mean, unless you live in this country.
Yeah.
But okay.
All right. Speaking of superpowers, Steph Curry.
Man.
Steph Curry, superpowers, yes. Draymond Green, superpowers of a certain point. But Buddy Hield last night as the Golden State Warriors win in a decisive Game 7 against the Rockets behind Buddy Hield, almost like a mutant, like an X-Men, like the kids will grow up and they don't know they have superpowers and then they hit puberty. They're like, oh my God, I can shoot fire or whatever. Well, that's what happened to Buddy Hield last night. Puberty hit.
Yeah, man. Whew. That was such a look. I was just so I am in the space where I was just following my heart in terms of watching a game, not trying to be objective, just saying, hey, whoever I want to win, whoever I feel like I want to win this series, I'm just going to cheer for. I'm like a Rockets fan the whole series, which is crazy because I've been a Warriors fan pretty much my whole life, even before I was a Heat fan. But I was like torn because I've got this podcast, Dub Dynasty, that's going to do better, I'm assuming, the farther the Warriors go. But I really wanted the Rockets to win. So it's win-win for me. But what I hated about that game yesterday is that it was for everybody who wants to talk about, 90s basketball, like I miss that stuff. Go ahead and watch that Game 7 over and over again because those Houston Rockets were playing 1990s basketball. Throw it into Şengün. Don't shoot threes. Try to get a turnaround over this really tough defender. And it's just like, what are we doing? I mean, when I covered the game, I don't know if you guys went through this when you were with Phoenix, but whenever you look at a box score after a game where you're stunned how you lost, you look at, we had more points in the paint. We had more rebounds. We had more free throws. How are we losing this game? We're getting jobbed or something. No, it's pretty easy. You're playing old basketball. The Warriors are playing new basketball. They shoot and make more threes than you, and you're stuck in the mud. Doesn't matter how good your defense is. 103 points is going to beat 89 every time.
Yeah, so this is according to Cleaning the Glass. They scored 78 points per 100 half-court plays. In the half-court, the Houston Rockets could not score, right? And that's the thing. We're going to talk about Buddy Hield hitting a million threes. We're going to talk about Steph Curry coming alive in the fourth quarter. And those things happen, and they contributed greatly to success. But there has to be space in conversation for Golden State's defense that just did this to the Rockets. Hands around the throat, squeeze until the body goes limp. And that's what they did to the Rockets. The Rockets couldn't score. And you could talk about Jalen Green, who was MIA more often than not in this series. You could talk about, hey, Jabari Smith, they should have used him more. They got to get him involved more. But to me, Şengün down the stretch in the second half shied away from contact. He shied away from the physicality. He'll get the position, and then he'll shoot that one-legged fadeaway. He'll shoot the little push shot, and I kept saying, go through these guys, man. Make them have to make a defensive play at the crest. And he just
This was established in Game 1. I mean, very early, and this was all the playoffs, right? It was very physical early on. It was allowed to be very physical. It's probably gotten a little less as the series have gone, as the first round series has gone along. This was established in Game 1. Draymond was going to be able to get away with, you want to say get away with whatever. I say playoff defense with the body checks at just the right time while Şengün's going up for his shot. And you see him or hear him, every time he goes up for the shot, and he's not getting that foul. Draymond was empowered from that very moment. And look, I'm sorry, Şengün had a terrible Game 7. You say the second half, I say the entire game.
Yeah.
Soft, got bullied by Draymond, kept making the same terrible decisions over and over again. You saw the clip. Now, the announcer said it was Fred VanVleet telling his team to wake up. No, he was looking Şengün dead in the eyes and said, wake up, because he was just playing horribly. There was a point at 4 minutes left, I want to say, where the Warriors were starting to pull away, and it looked pretty obvious that they were going to win. You can't be the guy that makes it seem obvious with 4 minutes left. He was already had the body language of a loser. And I'm sorry to be so blunt about it, but it was terrible for their leader, for their all-star. It was terrible to the point, Amin, where I'm saying if you want to improve the Houston Rockets from one year to the next, Take that 90s ass basketball out of here. Trade Şengün while you have high value for him and adjust your team just enough. Get more of that Jabari Smith Jr. in there, that inside-outside talent. There's nothing wrong with Alperen Şengün. He just can't be your 1A option. And if you're going to adjust your team to go from, number 2 seed to championship, I'm saying you at least have to consider it, because that right there is not the style of basketball that's going to win today. And he is showing you, after, again, maybe the greatest defensive player of all time in Draymond Green, but he got absolutely punked.
He got punked. Is there no part that we can just chalk this up to first time at the rodeo? Right? Because I give a comp, and I'm not trying to compare the two players, but I remember Jokic going up against Draymond Green a couple of years ago in 2022, and Draymond did a similar thing where he basically punked his ass out. Yeah.
And this is to me where I'm just like, don't call him Baby Joker, because he's never going to get there. It's to does he start the offense from the top of the 3-point circle? And do you feel the same way as you feel with Nikola Jokic in terms of he can control the game from that spot?
I'm not trying to compare them as players. I'm just saying the experience of seeing someone that we liked all year long, and then they ran into playoff Draymond, and it's like, yeah, that's
the difference being is this is his style of play. This is a little old-fashioned style of play. I don't see it evolving to something that's going to be, again, the number 1 option on today's NBA style of team. Like, they had to be so on defensively. Amin Thompson couldn't even take a break for that. I'm hoping is just a calf cramp. Because that second he was gone, it was just like Steph Curry just lit up. His eyes lit up, and he took Jalen Green off the dribble, hit a 3, and it was just like, all right, the Rockets couldn't take a breath without the Warriors doing something to frighten them. And then at the end, it was over.
I mean, it happened so fast. And it was literally, I want to say Buddy Hield made a play. It might have been a made 3. Then they came back down defending. Deflection, Jimmy Butler hits ahead, and then he does what we've seen Trae Young and Chris Paul and Steve Nash and a lot of guards do, like in recent history of the NBA, which is, I'm running, all of a sudden I'm going to stop, and you're going to run into me. The difference was Jimmy didn't have the ball.
Right.
And so that was the one thing I was thinking about is, can you do that if you don't have the ball?
And if you watch that play again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
Your conclusion was what?
My conclusion was Jimmy didn't stop. He just slowed down. And that's why. And then Fred extending with the push as opposed to just running into him. I think those are the two things that mucked it up.
That was a bad move for your leader, right? Like time and score. Like if you're Fred VanVleet, like you've got to be smarter than that. That's what disappointed me about this whole team. In the end, Amin Thompson looked far and away like their best player, their best option. And it was unfortunate. For me, I've been saying this the whole series. Give him the ball. He's the best option to collapse that defense, and he's a good passer out of it. There was a lot of Ime stuff I didn't love in this series. I would have loved a little bit more Aaron Holiday. He can defend and is a shooter. I would even have given, just for floor spacing, for a couple minutes a game in this series to give the Warriors a different look. Give me some Reed Shepherd. Give me some shooting all 1 through 5. Maybe put Jabari at the 5, because he just kept going to the same thing over and over again. And yes, the 2 big lineup worked great during the season, works great in this series, until you see Steven Adams out there in a game 7 guarding point guards on the perimeter. It's like, oh, this isn't the vision that we had.
Isn't that the crazy thing about the playoffs, is that you do something and it's like, oh, we landed. Oh, this is a really good thing for us. It's working. And then it reaches a point where it doesn't work. And you hope it happens before an elimination game. But in that elimination game, at game 7, you're sitting there saying, is it not working anymore because we just hit a run of luck and it'll just all even out, like it'll go back to normal in a second? Or is it not working anymore because they figured us out? Yep. And last night, it felt like the Warriors like, oh, we'll just play it like this. And then it was checkmate.
What I was saying after game 6 and looking at games 5 and 6 and like, man, this Warriors team, effectively a 3-man team. And if anybody else shows up, that's a bonus. That's great. You're probably going to win, but you need somebody else to show up. A 3-man team, if Draymond is your third person there, it isn't going to give you 30 points a game. Like, that's not going to win you 4 series. And then look what happens. You go from Buddy Hield being scoreless in a game 6 to scoring 33. And that's just how easy it is. Like, it just requires one. It could have been Pajemski. It could have been Moses Moody. It could have been anybody. They just needed somebody else to join the party. And look what you get.
last thing I'll say about this, and we'll do more Warriors Wolves preview talk tomorrow, but last thing I'll say about this. The game 7 in 2016 is obviously their lowest point, but it's such a huge misstep that it obscures the fact that these guys are pretty good in game 7s.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about yesterday. It's like, they're really good at these game 7s, man. There's just something about game 7s where the Warriors are great other than 2016. But there was another game 7 this weekend, Izzy. It happened between the Nuggets and the Clippers. And after a fun first 6 games, game 7 was a little bit of a wet fart, right? It was just the Nuggets won handily, 120-101. Jokic and Murray were average by their standards, where their teammates picked up the slack. Aaron Gordon was 22 points and 5 boards. Christian Brown, 21 points of his own. And Russell Westbrook, 16 points, none more emphatic than that dunk he had. Look, if you're going to get teed up on purpose, I think we discovered
you might as well climb the rim 3 times.
That's how you do it. He did. You ever watch those? Like sometimes people will post like the glitches on 2K where like someone goes on a dunk and he just keeps hanging.
When Yama's like doing spins on the rim. Yeah, I've seen it.
It's funny because Izzy, you and I are both old enough to remember when they put that rule in that you hanging on the rim was taunting. It's like in the mid 90s. Before then, that was pretty like normal. Where a guy would do chin ups and like Charles Barkley would bring his knees to his chest and stuff like that. So
take out your aggression on the rim, and it was okay. By the way, I don't really love the analogy. A wet fart. It's not boring at all. Like it makes you wonder. You know what I'm saying? Like things are in motion at that point. It's not like, oh, this is a boring game. Like I don't really like that analogy.
I don't think it's that it's boring. It's more like it's all fun and games. You're farting ha 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 through 6 games, and then the 7th. Gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay. Got it. Well, that would have been the place to spend most of your time. Look, we don't want to kill the Clippers too much, or do we? Because I said earlier during this series, look, a lot of people were saying never going to trust a Kawhi Leonard-led team. I've landed on I'm never trusting a James Harden team. I don't think a team celebrating the last game of the season will ever have James Harden on it. Let's just put it that way. You can't just show up in a game 7 and have 8 shot attempts and then say what? Like I'm not the number 1 option, or the defense took me out of it. Like it doesn't really bode well for a guy who fancies himself one of the greatest 2 guards of all time.
Yeah, like Izzy, I guess my thing is they lose that game 7, right? Like it's in the middle of game 7 and the Nuggets are starting to pull away. And there has to be a realization, oh crap, if something doesn't change, we're going to lose this thing. And when that realization hits, you got to understand, Monday morning quarterback, no one's going to say, oh my God, Nick Batum, you got to give us more. No one's going to say, oh my God, Zubats, what's up? You were playing so great. No one's going to talk about Norm Powell or Derrick Jones Jr.
Or why Chris Dunn didn't start.
Right. It's going to land on the plate of your superstars, right? And Kawhi doesn't have that reputation. But you, James Harden, you do have that reputation. So you can say, I made the right play. I like the defense. I took what the defense gave me. That I had 13 assists or whatever it was. But none of that matters if you lose this thing. And so as this plane is starting to go down, you can't say, well, I trust the guys up front. You're one of the guys. You got to grab controls. And like I said, if he had ended up 2 of 19, like, man, what a bad game. But at least like he went out gunning. To go out 2 of 8 from the field just to kind of accept, well, what are we going to do? It's not on me. No, it is on you. It is on you because you're the star, you and Kawhi's doing his thing. You got to do your thing too.
And then what do you do if you're the Clippers moving forward? You mentioned James Harden as a star. I'd much be happier rather if he was my number 3 or just my point guard who could have an explosive game every once in a while. You've got him as your basically number 2 option. You've got a very fragile, I guess you could say, Kawhi Leonard as your top option. You don't really know who to move on from and who to move on to necessarily. You just know pretty much you've got a great coach and when healthy, a great number 1 option.
Yeah, and the bigger issue is that Harden, like if it was just, we'll just run it back next year, then you could say, all right, we'll try it again and we'll make tweaks or whatever. The problem is Harden has a player option. And so he can make this thing real uncomfortable for everybody by opting out and then forcing you to have to make that decision. How much is James Harden worth? I like James Harden. If I'm the Clippers, I want him on the team because, again, someone's got to get you through 82. If we're going to praise Kawhi staying healthy and being as good as he was during the playoffs, we have to accept that it happened because he didn't have to be there every night for 82. And Harden is what buys you that. That's why I think he does have value to the Clippers beyond just like, being a name or whatever. But what's the value? His player option next year is $36 million. If he opts out, do you feel comfortable paying him 40, 45?
That's a bit much, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just my old school numbers thinking, but that seems like a bit much. We'll have more on the Nuggets tomorrow again, but the Clippers have a lot of work to do if they're going to be a contender next year. We got to talk about game one of the second round that already started between the Pacers and the Cavaliers. Sorry to the algorithm. They don't really love it.
The algorithm was like, come on, guys.
But it was interesting because it was the Pacers as the bottom seed, the 4th seed rather, beat the Cavs, took home court advantage, 121 to 114. Now we have a producer here named Hank, and I would say the thing that's most noticeable about Hank, a couple things. One,
he's a
Washington Wizards fan. Those very cartoonish eyebrows of his. Not saying that in a bad way, just very noticeable eyebrows. And also, he's such a fan of this player. He puts the hard in Andrew Nembhard. He is such a fan of Andrew Nembhard, and every time we get to talk about him, we never actually put in the time. So, this is for you, Hank.
Because he's not here today. That's
exactly, because he's not here today. Great player, great game, great clutch 3 back-to-back with Halliburton there. Great performance by him. Yeah, Darius Garland wasn't there. Probably mattered, but good job, Nembhard. Sorry, Hank.
I'm going to say this. I thought when the Cavs came back and took that little lead, this is it, man. This is how great teams do. They let you play ahead and you think, oh, wow, everything's going great. And then they just take it over and they're like, what happened? I thought we were going to win that game. So I want to give the Pacers a lot of credit for coming back and like withstanding that storm, particularly with Donovan Mitchell kind of leading that. Now, this is the part that I've been asking for earlier in this playoffs. Halliburton has to be more aggressive.
Yep. I was just about to say that. Outside of those 3-pointers, that floater of his, it's good enough for him to keep going to it.
Similar to what we just talked about James Harden. It's not enough to just be like, well, I set everybody up. Yes, you're great at that. You have to be aggressive offensively. You've got to put the pressure on the defense to have to worry about you, because that in turn makes the playmaking a lot more easier for him, for everybody else, basically.
All right, coming up, we're going hot streaking, and we'll find out if the Knicks have any chance against the Celtics. Ooh. Probably not, right? Probably not.
All right, welcome back to Oddball. Amin, Izzy. It's time for another edition of Hot Streak. Hot Streak is presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Hell yeah.
Yep. Last week we picked Cavs minus 8.5 against the Heat. Did we win that bet, Izzy?
Can we get like 5 points of credit for that? Because they won by 8.5 times like 100.
Yeah, it was a real nail biter as the Cavs won 138 to 83. So let's stay hot. All right, we got 2 options. The late game is Nuggets at Thunder. Thunder are 9.5 point favorites. The Nuggets are fresh off of that game 7 on Saturday. The Thunder last played April 26th. Is this in this series might be the MVP determining series, because the trophy is going to be announced during round 2. And these 2 guys who we all assume to be 1 and 2 are going to be playing against each other. So
classic NBA. I love it.
Oh, I love this when the script plays out. All right. The other game, the early game, is Knicks at Celtics. Game 1 Monday night, and Celtics are 9-point favorites in that one. Celtics, as you'll remember, were 4-0 against the Knicks this season. They blew them out in 3 of those games. The 4th one did go into overtime. Drew Holiday is expected to be back after missing the last 3 games of the Orlando series with a hamstring injury. Before we try to make a pick on game 1, let's just be honest about this, right? It's the Celtics, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen a series this one-sided in the second round in a long time.
They have every advantage. They have the better offense, right? Empirically speaking. Defensively, they're way better. All right. Rebounding, they're better. The ball moves quicker. Their 3-point shooting is more spread and more deadly. They have better coaching. Their front office is light years ahead. Their playoff experience is light years ahead. They have better depth. The home court advantage. They've been Boston's crazy. The documentaries about their team are better. They have better seafood. They have better airports. The number of Dunkin' Donuts per square meter in that town is way higher. No, yes, it is. But on the other hand, the Knicks do have clutch play. right? So
hey,
tail of the tape.
they've got that one thing going for them.
Yeah.
They have to keep the game close. If they keep the game close, I mean, they might have an advantage. And of course, Jalen Brunson.
Yes. So
I'm curious, what could possibly, I'm going to ask you what you were about to ask me. What the hell is going to make difference about this playoff series that we didn't already see in the regular season? Because I don't think Cat turns into a different person. I don't think Jalen Brunson, we've already seen, they need him. They need most of him regardless. It's not like they're saving him for the playoffs. So what changes?
I want to be clear. This is not a Rockets Warriors situation where like during the regular season or normally the Rockets are better, but then something happens in the playoffs and the Warriors find a way again and again. No, they're just better. The Celtics are just better. The only thing beyond like, okay, the Knicks are better with clutch play because of Jalen Brunson. The only thing where they might have an advantage, we could call it an X factor if you want, is Karl Anthony Towns. That overtime game, the hallmark of it is that Karl Anthony Towns was aggressive. They made it a point to get him the ball. He took advantage.
34 and 14.
Yes, and that seemed to give the Celtics some issues. The problem I have, Izzy, is you're telling me the way we win this playoff series is by relying on Karl Anthony Towns.
You saw when the Pistons series was getting tighter, Karl Anthony Towns was maybe disappearing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. The deeper you go into the playoffs, it's not going to go the opposite direction. And, you know, he also hit a couple of those really long threes that he took in that series. And you're just like, wow, Cat coming up clutch. Don't miss those in this series because they will say the exact opposite. You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. And the other thing is, it's like, yeah, you question, hey, Jaylen Brown's knee, maybe they won't be as explosive. You mentioned it. They're getting Drew Holiday back. Kristaps Porzingis seems to be in a rhythm. That guy, we mentioned Pat's 34 and 14. KP also had 34 in that overtime win for the Celtics. He is so much, he might be the more important pickup to his team than Karl Anthony Towns is to his team, but the Knicks require more out of Karl Anthony Towns.
Izzy, as a proud Dominican, I can ask you this question.
Wait, who's the proud Dominican? Me or you?
You are.
Okay,
I'm
just so everybody knows.
I'm only a Dominican in New York when an old lady asked me for subway directions in Spanish. That's the only time I turn Dominican. But you are Dominican every day of your life. Who is the better Dominican in this series? Is it Karl Anthony Towns or is it Al Horford? The more impactful.
That's a heck of a question. Al Horford, Cat's daddy. I think the more impactful player is going to be Cat. There's just no way about it. There's no two ways about it. Like, he's going to have to try to do more. If he fails miserably, do I think that Al Horford's going to have had a better series? Maybe not. But I just think Cat is asked to do more. So whether he fails or whether he does well, it's just going to stand out more. So I think he's going to have the better series.
All right. I think Al Horford is going to make him have the worst series. That's like, I think it's going to be tied to Al Horford. But you don't have to listen to us.
It's win-win for us Dominicans.
Yeah, there you go. A house divided. You don't have to listen to us schmoes pick this. Yahoo Sports shared this video of a dog picking the series. This dog every year does this. I know usually it's here for the finals, but this year we're doing the second round. Okay.
Yeah. Man, can we just talk about how talented this dog is? Like, it's not like he's missing the ball.
To the audio listeners, someone's throwing a ball to a dog at the top of the stairs, and it's heading the ball back. And as it falls, the ball falls. It lands into one of two baskets. One that says Celtics or one that says Knicks on it. And right now, Celtics are kind of rolling. Oh, there it is. It's 3-2 Celtics right now. Oh, no, it's 3-2 Celtics.
It's 2-2 now. Spoilers, 3-2. And, it dribbled out of the Knicks basket.
Oh, there it is.
Celtics in 6.
Celtics in 6.
It feels like a little bit too many games for our little puppy to pick the Knicks for. But, all right.
So it's an optimist. The puppy's an optimistic Knicks fan. That's what that is.
So who are we picking? We got the Knicks +9, Celtics -9, or we got Nuggets +9.5, Thunder -9.5. Big numbers. Also, we should mention game one's usually the strangest games of the series in terms of results. So it's not like we're picking really with our brains here. We just gotta go with feel.
Right.
And I think,
I
think the Nuggets are going to stay close enough. I think the Thunder have had such a long layoff. I got to go Nuggets +9.5. What do you think?
I like that pick. I like the rhythm. I think the Thunder are probably going to win, but I think Denver is going to come out to a big lead to start because as Oklahoma City has to get work its way back. I think ultimately they win the game. But yeah, I'm with you. Nuggets +9.5. That's going to do it for us here on Oddball. We'll see you tomorrow, and we'll talk more about the other series that are going to be played tomorrow.
Can we talk about dogs instead? I like puppies.